All right. Can you hear me? Okay. My name's Chris Carino. I'm the chairman of the Albion Cultural Exchange Committee, and we are the group that is in charge of the Albion Cultural Exchange building. We run the building, everything from emptying the trash to doing all the programming. To give you a little bit of history of, actually we'll start with, our tagline is promoting arts, culture, and commerce. And so in the next few minutes, I'll sort of cover how we've done that and where we came from and where we see ourselves going. So the Albion Cultural Exchange Committee was formed in August 2015 or so by the Board of Selectmen in Wakefield, and we sat the committee around November. The committee met in November. We sat down and said, okay, what do we do now? And we talked about it for a little bit, and quickly through our town planner, Paul Revis, we started connecting with MAPC, talking about grants, and Senator Lewis talking about other ways to get money, and working on that. And my committee decided that we immediately wanted to start providing programming. We didn't want to sit around and do planning for a long time. We just immediately wanted to kick the building off, get it going, find out what the holdups might be, and tackle those first, and do the grander scheme things as we go, but just be open for business immediately. And so we started with a reception for the Wakefield Cultural Council. It was a grant recipient reception. It was our first event. Senator Lewis was there. And we did that, and not to be outdone or be shy about it, we did another major event the very next day, which was the High School Advanced Placement Art Show. And if you're not familiar with that, the AP Art program is outstanding. It's basically professional artists in the little bodies of high school students. And so it's amazing. The stuff that was up there, and then you looked over and you were like, what? Huh? And so we put this together, and people thought that I was going to want to go through a long planning process, and I wanted to open up the doors. And when initially sort of the permission, they asked me, because I guess I was in charge because I was the chairman, and they said, would you do that? And I said, well, only really under one condition. And they were like, what's that? And I said, we have to go big. I want a red carpet. And they were like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. So we got a red carpet, and we did 2 events in a row. We opened up the facility with 2 red carpet events. And so the high school seniors and the people that went to the grant recipient reception all got to walk the red carpet, come into our building. It wasn't, completely done. We were still doing some vacuuming and some painting and stuff, but we were open for business, and we had a red carpet. So we looked really good. The AP Art students loved it. And it's now become a tradition. We did it again this year. And so now it's the AP Art students look forward to it. It's like little Hollywood. I actually said to them that I wanted spotlights and stuff out front to make it look like Hollywood, but we hold the event in May, so it's light out till like 8 o'clock. That didn't work. But a red carpet worked. And the red carpet was awesome. And the red carpet is now a tradition that we have there. So that's sort of how we started. Those were our first 2 events. And we're figuring out, okay, how do we program this building? What do we do? And getting the arts, culture, and the commerce side of things, and how do we do this? We looked at things, and we found we settled on first Thursday, but there's first Monday, last Friday. There's all different versions of it. We settled on first Thursday, got a structure together, and we held our first Thursday event. It's called First Thursday Downtown, and it's promoting the art, culture, and commerce. And we try to hook in businesses. We try to do the street as a stage. We try to do downtown as a destination. All of that stuff we're trying to pull into it. And so the way that we did that is we started with this First Thursday program, and we had 2 art studios and a furniture store do an art event. And so, hey, it's great. We finished our first event, but then, oh, wait, we got to do it again. How do we do that? And so we started talking about things like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to convince people to come to an art show? I mean, we could have Picasso, but if I had Jimmy, the 10th grader, I'll get more people. If I say, hey, Picasso's coming, everybody come, they don't show up. So, how are we going to do this, and how's it going to be exciting? How many times can I promote looking at a photo or doing this? And so we came up with this thing called the See-Do methodology. And the See-Do methodology says that 1 month, you're going to see stuff on first Thursday, like an art exhibit, like a movie, something like that. And then the next month, you're going to have the opportunity to be engaged in that and go interactive and do stuff. So the way that works out is we would have an art show, followed by a paint night, followed by a movie, we did wreath making. We did Mackenzie Child, if anybody's familiar with that, very high-end designer. We did a mock Mackenzie Child wreath making event. And so that's our see-do mentality, and that's not that there wouldn't be 2 C's in a row, but ideally it's see-do, and that gave us a structure. And also having First Thursday and just incubating it and making sure that we didn't skip a month, that we were always consistent, that people could rely on First Thursday being there. We started bringing in the businesses, and we said, hey, you know what? We're going to need money at some point, but for First Thursday, we'll do advertising for free on our webpage to incorporate you into it. And we want to go with the clustering concept. So how do we do that? Well, give us an offer where if you show up to our event, you leave with the ticket, you get a free appetizer at the restaurant. So you either go to dinner and come to our event, or come to our event and then go to dinner, something like that. And so that seemed to be really successful, and we started to bring people in and do that. So, how did we interact with the business community on the whole? Well, as Steve mentioned, we have flower arranging classes with a company called Sweet Bay, which is 3 doors down. And we talked to them about rent and how to do these things, and she was really hardcore on me, wanting to know the rent. And I told her that we were trying to build a relationship, and rent was secondary, and we'll figure it out. And they're a local business to us, and so they help us now at this point, because we weren't really pushing hard on the rent. We just wanted free tickets to their event, and we gave those tickets away and we engaged them. Now they put wreaths on our doors. They do the plantings that are in front. And Liz, who runs that program, I can call her up if there's a problem, because she's 3 doors down, and say, hey, can you run in the building and find out what the heck's going on and not have to leave the office? And that's a bonus too. So that was the Sweet Bay, the local florist company. We've had Stoneham's own Joe Gatto, if you're familiar with him. Joe Gatto is a reality TV star, and he's also a personal chef. We had him in, and he made mozzarella. That was a really good event, and we promoted it through Reading, Wakefield, Melrose, and when we talked to people that were there, we had a sprinkling of people from all the communities, so it really was sort of a regional thing. We just did an ancient grains discussion with the place called the Bread Shop. And that was a very successful, culture and commerce event, and that people came there. They did the grains discussion. They talked about why wheat's good or bad. That's a big discussion for people who get into that. That's a big deal. They talked about it, and then at the end of it, we walked down to their store, and we saw their ovens. We baked some bread, and everybody left with as much bread as they could handle. Those girls were really freaked out, because we scheduled the event, and they'd never done an event like this. At this point, I'm an expert because I've done 12 of them. And so they were, I don't know how many tickets have we sold, and they wanted to bail. They were just worried and nervous. And I was just like, listen, the show must go on. We're going to get through this, no big deal. And so we did it, and we had 20 people or something to that effect. Everybody went home with bread. Everybody was awesome. We were walking back to the store, or to the cultural exchange from their store after everybody left, and they looked at me and they were like, thank you for being so positive. Thank you for helping us out. We were really, wigging. I just want to let you know, we've had the busiest day that we've ever had since we've been in existence. We picked up an extra farmer's market. We had to be here, there, and everywhere. We were looking to bail. Thank God you didn't let us bail. We sold, 600 loaves of bread that day, and then came and did our seminar. And then they said they were going home to sleep for 3 days. So, that was good, but they were quick, and coaching people through doing events is its own art form, because you teach people to do events that have never done events before. You say, hey, let's do this event, and they're gung-ho 45 days out. And as it gets closer, they really need that reassurance, and we've got a system at this point, and the show must go on, and let's do this. And you run a business, you run a bread store, you've never done this before. I'll show you how. And hey, and you know what? It's okay if you bomb, because nobody's going to know. They don't know what, we haven't defined what good or bad is. So we did that. But other things that we've done, let's see here. We did the furniture store. I mentioned that. We talk about being open late on Thursdays, doing our activities there, and doing the activity clustering, which is, the same as the destination kind of stuff. As far as the schools, how do we interact with the schools? I mentioned the Advanced Placement Art Show. That show, aside from just being awesome because of the red carpet, which is really cool, the art's great. Benefit of doing a school show is that you have a built-in audience. So chances are the advertising is going to be a little bit easier, because everyone's going to come to see their kid. And then we added the JV art show. So we did the red carpet one, and now we have the JV art show, but they don't get a red carpet. They weren't happy about that. And I said, well, you need to make it to the AP. If you make it down there, you don't just get a red carpet, despite that I pushed it in the first time, but, we did that. And we also have had a group called She Major, which is an a cappella group from the high school, and they come in, and those shows are definitely well attended. She Major, I'm working with them on a holiday show that'll be coming up. We haven't announced it, but it'll be sometime in December. And then talking about local artist groups and how we work with them. Right from the get-go, two of our committee members are members of the Arts Collaborative of Wakefield. And it's Kathy Fry and Joy Schilling, who's also the director of the high school art department. So they've got a website, and they do similar to what you were just talking about. They have an inventory of all the local artists. And we talked with MAPC and a bunch of people about that's important. And so we integrated that with our website. So if you go to the Albion Cultural Exchange website, albionculturalexchange.org for anybody with a smartphone, we have the artist directory built into that. And so you can go through and see who all the visual artists are. The Arts Collaborative of Wakefield are just visual artists, but in the crowd tonight here we have Colleen Getty somewhere. It's all bright. And she brings in a thing called the Room to Write, and those are writers, and they don't fall into the Arts Collaborative of Wakefield sort of category. So Colleen sort of has her own night, and she's taken off on the whole writer thing, and you know, we hope to get more people in there. And she's had several successful events, and is also very good at running events. One of my favorite people to run events. So good job, Colleen. Love that. So we're doing that. So we have the artist registry. We have the Room to Write. The Reading Symphony Orchestra is now meeting in our building. I just joined their board, and they're doing just board meetings there, but I'm pretty positive that's going to roll into doing smaller, they do concerts at our Galvin Middle School and other places in Reading, and I'm pretty sure we're going to have smaller event venue things with them, and they're getting used to the building, and they're coming in there. We already have some synergies of things that'll go on as far as revenue for our building. So we talked about artist workspaces, and we've got 8 slots upstairs, and so our master plan with MAPC that's not part of the programming is, hey, let's rent those out for $300, $400, $500 a month, something in the reasonable range. The people that are in those artist workspaces, once we work through the leases, will end up becoming part of our First Thursday signature program a couple times a year. And the revenue that's generated from that will hopefully go towards some funding that we need to improve the building. So it's sort of cyclical. The people upstairs pay rent, which pays for the rent downstairs, and they also help provide programming for downstairs. It's a win-win for everybody involved. We put maybe a short time frame on the leases of a year or two so that we can cycle the artists through and have them leave the building but stay in the district. So you work in the building and maybe you're just getting going, and then after a year you're kind of known, you're starting to sell stuff, and now you know everybody downtown because we've got the community. It's called the Albion Cultural Exchange, not the Albion's Art Building, not the Wakefield Art Center. And Steve and I looked at I looked at like 3,000 names. I brought him like the top list of, we didn't want to use the word actually art because it's confusing. We didn't want to use the word Wakefield because it's confusing with other things. We wanted to use the word Albion. We first checked to make sure that the word Albion didn't have a double meaning of something that was bad. It turns out it doesn't. It's a perfect fit. Albion refers to the white shores of Dover, the big island of Great Britain, and other things that are considered pure and good. Albion is also a local Wakefield name in that I believe it was 1842, our historical person, smack me if I'm off, it might have been 1872, but Albion Street was one of the first named streets in Wakefield. It's an important identity piece. We wanted to keep it. Cultural, that made sense. The art part, again, we kind of ruled out using that word. We were like cultural, and then we came up with exchange. Why? Because we want people to exchange ideas. We've had Donald Wong in there. He did a Qigong seminar. We've had other people in there that have done things that are kind of outside of looking at pictures and that stuff. We've dabbled with the idea of maybe doing some health and wellness stuff because it's all about being one. It's all about sharing this common experience of life and art and just enjoying things and not being robots. So that's sort of where we've gone with that. So we've participated with the high school people. We've participated with the businesses. We've participated with the local arts organizations. We feel happy about that. We've come a long way. We started with our building. We had to do some painting. We had to do a bunch of other things. Our building's usable. We're working with architects about ADA compliance and doing a stepped approach. But my committee, our goal was really to just get it going. Don't sit in a room for 2 years talking about this arts thing we're going to do. We were given a building. Let me say that again. We were given a building. That's a big deal. So we got the thing going. We got everything. It made everything happen. And so we're looking to do some infrastructure stuff. We're looking to do some more funding. And we're looking to continue to develop our programming. Now, we have something coming up. And I want to invite everybody here to our First Thursday signature program. And we haven't got the press out on this, but it's going to come out tomorrow, and I'm inviting everybody here. Are you familiar with the market basket strike a few years ago? Okay, you lived through it, right? It's kind of probably pretty personal. You probably had a couple bad days and had to change your life because of it. Well, there was a movie produced about that. It's called Food Fight, and it was produced locally, and we actually did a viewing of it earlier in the year in March, and we coordinated it with Restaurant Week, which was called Local Eats Week last year. So we had that event, and it was part of the Arts, Culture, and Commerce. We kicked off Local Eats Week with the showing of Food Fight, and we had a sold-out house in March, which is important for a couple reasons. One, because we like a sold-out house, but as far as commerce goes in our restaurants, and when me and Steve talk about the economic activity, towards the end of the winter, we need to get people out of their houses. We need to get them in the restaurants. It's March or August when people are on vacation that we want to do these types of things. And so it worked out great. We had the Food Fight movie viewing, and of course, you've probably had this experience in your life. Everybody said they didn't know about it. A bunch of people knew about it because we had a sold-out room, but they asked us to show it again. We're going to show it again. We're going to announce it tomorrow. Everybody here is invited. We're going to do questions tonight. If you don't get to me, please come next Thursday, October 5th, and see Food Fight with us from 7 to 9. And if you don't want to see the movie, you just want to talk, come on over. We can talk about whatever you want. I'm very reachable. See Carino at wakefield.ma.us. I can hand out cards. You can get me through the Albion Cultural Exchange website. If anybody has any questions, definitely let me know. And thank you very much.